Alright, hey YouTube, good morning. I want to show you my latest plane I've just built here. A little different from the other projects I've worked on. It's a Talon, Mini Talon. This is a model that's been around for a long time. Since even before I started flying, and I've been flying longer than most FPV pilots. So, I want to show you this. This is my first flight controller build and my first GPS build. I've never done that before. All my wings, all my planes have always been straight receiver to the servos with nothing in between. I decided to try out Inav. So I built this plane to try out Inav. I did fly it yesterday. I won't show you that video because it was very windy and I had a jitter in the tilt servo that made the video just look not very good. So hopefully you're seeing video on the screen right now, in one of the corners somewhere, and hopefully it's smooth video, because after I talk about this, I'm going to take it out and fly it, and that's the video you're going to be seeing. It is my second day with the Mini Talon. I flew it yesterday, tested the return to home, tested everything to make sure it worked well. It all seems to be working well, so we're going to go out and fly it again today, and hopefully it's going to be nice. It's going to be a lot less windy, and hopefully this servo won't have the problem the other one had that made the video shaky. Anyway, let's talk about the components here in the Mini Talon. Right now I'm running a RunCam Swift camera. It's a Swift 2, I think. That's temporary. I am going to put it on either a RunCam Split or a CAT-X Turtle. Probably a CAT-X Turtle, because I've used those in other builds and they work well. Maybe a Split, maybe a Foxeer mix, something that records HD, so that with the pan and tilt we get the HD footage out of it. The pan and tilt is from Hobby King. It's a quantum pan and tilt. It's only about $28, and it works really well. I tried 3D printing a couple. I wasn't really happy with them. I may 3D print some more, see if I can get something that's more usable, better than what I have gotten. But right now the one from Hobby King is pretty good. It's working pretty well. There's a 180-degree servo, so I get about that much to either side, and it's a 90-degree or maybe a 110-degree tilt servo. The 180 servo is metal geared. This is a standard servo, so I get about a little bit of up and about that much down, and then I can swing it around. It's really neat. I've never used a pan tilt on a plane before because, like I said, I've never had a flight controller. So you kind of need that flight controller to hold the plane in the air while you're manipulating the camera. And I have an override switch that sets it back to, the right setting. If I need to look ahead, I just flick the switch and there it is. All right, so that's a Swift. This is the quantum pan tilt. This is the wood from the kit. I just painted it black. I have a piece of ABS plastic right here under my VTX. The VTX is an AKK X1, something like that, 600 milliwatts. There's another piece of this ABS plastic on the other side underneath, and a zip tie running through. I always like to actually anchor my gear rather than just using sticky stuff or stick it down. If possible, I want to anchor it. So I used this ABS plastic, cut these two pieces, one on each side like a sandwich over the foam, and then zip tied it. So that's the AKK X1. Right now I've got a pagoda on there. I may change that, but that's working pretty well. It's just an Emax pagoda antenna. I'm not using the screws for the hinge. I made a hinge here out of duct tape. It's working really well, and it just friction fits in the back, so that's pretty good. It doesn't come up in flight. It works really well. This is my GPS right here. It's a BN880 GPS. I don't remember exactly who made it, but I just got it off of Amazon or something. And this is an R9 Slim diversity receiver, FreeSky diversity receiver, with the stock antennas that I've just I've put the positive elements up and zip tied them, or heat shrink them to some antenna straws. All Emax metal gear servos all the way around. In the back we've got a Sunny Sky 1250 kV 2216 motor with an 8x6 APC prop. I run this same combo on my Hellkite, and I've clocked that at 90 miles an hour. This build's obviously a little heavier, so I've seen upwards of 70, close to 80 on the GPS speed with this motor and prop combo. It's working really well on 4-cell, obviously. Anything else on the outside? This is packing tape. I packing taped these stabilizers, and I've laminated just the wings. I didn't put any gear into the wings because I wanted to keep them removable, and they are. You just unplug two servos. I put packing tape on here just to make sure they stay on, but take the tape off, unplug the servos. There are clamps on the bottom, and they come right off. You can see the holes here for the screws for the clamps. I've also got a 3D printed landing skid here, and some reinforced tape on the nose of the aircraft there. I printed these in PETG. I have ABS, but the PETG is so much easier to work with that I decided to go with that. Let's have a look in the inside. There we go. Start out here in the back. There's a 60 amp ESC. 60 amp is way overkill. This thing should never draw more than 40. Because it's inside, I didn't want it heating up. A 40 amp in there getting hot, so I just put a 60 amp in there. I'll take the weight penalty. It comes down ice cold. I'm not using the internal BEC, so there's virtually no heat coming off of this thing when you're flying. I've got a cradle in there that's also PETG that I printed with anti-vibe mount for the flight controller. The flight controller is a Maytech F405 wing. I really like it. It's working really well. I know a lot of people are down on Inav. You know what I mean? RD Pilot is kind of the in thing now, but I like Inav. I think it works really well. I had no problem with it. I read if you're going to set up Inav, all I can say is people seem to be having problems with it, and those people seem to have not read the documentation. Read all the documentation, set it up correctly, and it works well. I'm having no problem with it at all. So there you go. That's in there. This is all my servo connections here. I did connect the compass for the GPS. I connected it and I tried to use it, and it gave me some problems. I calibrated it, still didn't seem to be working correctly. I turned it off and everything worked perfectly. So consider that if you're building a wing, you really don't need the compass. I turned it off and it made this thing act a lot better, much more the way it was supposed to, and now I'm very happy with it. So consider not even using the compass. I did hook it up. I may in the future turn it back on, recalibrate it, test it again, but for now it's off and it's working perfectly. The battery I'm using in this build is a 5200 4-cell. That's on some Velcro. I'm just going to go all the way up in the nose to make the CG. Okay, I'll just show you the CG. As you can see, it's perfectly on CG with that battery. All the way as far forward as I can get it. I'm not running a battery strap, interestingly. There's nothing strapping this battery in. I'll show you what I do. Got Velcro on the battery. That's a 5200 4-cell multi-star. Got Velcro on the battery. I've got Velcro in the fuselage. And I've got this block of scrap EPP. It came out of some build. I must have cut a battery bay or something. And all I do is, rather than cutting holes in the fuselage and running a strap, you put this battery all the way up the nose, stick it down to the Velcro, take the block of EPP, and just jam it between the battery and the top of the fuselage, just like that. And that's not going anywhere. The Velcro stops it from sliding back and forth. The block of EPP stops it from coming off the Velcro. So consider that if you want to build one of these planes, you don't really want to cut holes in the fuselage. That works well. Alright, so like I said, I flew this yesterday. I'm taking it out this afternoon, and hopefully you'll be seeing some flight footage of that right now. Let me know what you think of my Mini Talon. Oh, this is also just a piece of APS. Everybody I've seen on this canopy where it's thin here, reinforces it with carbon rods. And as much as that works very well, I didn't think it looked very good. So all I've done is I've cut a block of, or a square of ABS. It's like 1/8 inch ABS. It's what you would use to cut winglets for like a spec wing. You know what I mean? Textured on one side, smooth on the other, just ABS sheeting. And I cut a square of it and just hot glued it right over. Either hot glued it or gooped it, I don't remember. It's right over this weak spot in the canopy here, and that's working perfectly. It's not going to come undone. That's good. It doesn't need to be really structurally sound. It just needs to be, so that you're not going to break it open in the canopy, and that works really well. And I think it looks better than having the carbon rods laid in there. Just my opinion. So there you go. All right, so I'll leave you with some flight footage, hopefully, and enjoy the flight footage. Let me know what you think of the Mini Talon, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.